Hey everybody, Thaisha here with My Legacy of Flight in conjunction with One Love Wellness Center here in Menasha, Wisconsin, coming to you for one of my 365 days from my heart to yours. And right now I'm doing book If the Buddha Dated, handbook for finding love on a spiritual path. And conscious relationships, love within, intimate relationships, but also ultimately all of your relationships. So today's chapter is spiritual equality. One set of rules for men and women. Seeds feed a while on ground, then lift up into the sun. So you should taste the filtered light and work your way toward wisdom, with no personal covering. That's how you came here, like a star without a name. And that's from Rumi. At the spiritual level, we are all the same essence and pure energy. We came here like a star without a name. We are pure potential. Physically, from the perspective of molecular biology, we're all made of the same stuff. No matter what color, race, gender, or ethnic background, at conception, we are identical. By the time we are born, physical differences appear, and we are subsequently subject to cultural stereotypes of what it means to be male or female. How do we make peace with this apparent dichotomy of being the same but different? The answer is a spiritual one that I will return to at the end of this chapter. But for the moment, let's explore the concept of having these gender-specific rules on romance, love, and dating. A huge chasm about having separate rules for men and women is symbolized on my desk. One side is a stack of dating books by John Gray, Tracy Cabot, Ellen Fine, and Sherry Schneider, Patricia Allen, and others, full of separate prescriptions for men and women. What to do and say to please, attract, and in my perspective, often manipulate someone into a relationship. On the other side is a stack of books on Buddhism, Quaker traditions, Sufism, Zen spiritual relationships, and wisdom by John Wellwood, Ram Dass, Krishnamurti, Stephen and Andrea Levine, and others. None of the books in this stack make separations between men and women. In another tiny stack are my two favorite dating books by Susan Page and Barbara DeAngelis. They truly encourage men and women to be authentic and insightful and to operate with integrity. My question about any rules or prescriptions for love from a spiritual point of view are these. Do they help people relate from essence? That clear-seeing part of us that is love, kindness, and true? Or do they limit people and separate them from their authentic self? Rowan Conrad, a Buddhist student of Thich Nhat Hanh, comment, "The kind of advice in these books seem to be designed to create what is called karmic rebound. In solving one problem, you plant the seeds for more problems. For example, if we play hard to get or pour on the charm to attract someone to us, we plant the seeds of anger and mistrust when the mask drops and the other part of ourselves are revealed. Not to mention that we lose ourselves in the process by merging with an image of ourselves instead of being the natural and true." I also spoke with Keith Walker, friend and Buddhist practitioner and psychotherapist, about prescriptions for dating. It seems to me that too often it's about winning, getting, meeting, a desire, as opposed to having genuine, living relationship based on honesty and openness. It's kind of primitive. How to entrap someone, how to emotionally pull their strings to make them desire you. It's not about asking, how can I open myself and be real, in real contact with another human being? Some of them almost seem like a user's manual, but I don't want to be a user when it comes to relationships. I also asked Keith about separate rules for men and women. Ultimately, he says, relationships are about the same energy that gets translated through a different biology. Too much is made of the differences and not enough made of the essence of love. Awareness transcends gender and it's formless. So while we may, be different genders, we may be with someone of the same gender. That has nothing to do with our essence, the pure essence of love that everyone on this entire planet desires. So why, when talking about love, do we continually put this separation between the genders, between maybe even ethnic groups, between, people who grew up in different countries? Sometimes love doesn't need words to be understood, because that's the essence of it. The essence of it just comes through without these words, without gender, without bias, without anything, because love is love. It is the building block for everything. We need to present ourselves as we are and as we intend to be in a relationship. Only then can we avoid the karmic rebound problem. So just be you, because who you are is so beautiful and so wonderful. Why would you want to pretend to be something else, something less? Because when you're pretending, you're saying that what I am is not good enough. Who I am, all of it. And that's almost like saying that you'd rather be less than yourself because you're pretending to be something else. If someone falls in love with our mask, we have two choices. Either we wear the mask and lose ourselves, or we remove the mask and risk losing the relationship. The more we present ourselves honestly, whether heterosexual, lesbian, bisexual, or gay, the more we will create a spiritual union and find pleasure in being together. The spiritual lover doesn't want to chase or have a competition. He or she wants a lover who wants them back. They want to create a shared union and feel the sweetness of connection. Aside from my personal gains to be made from having true intimacy, bringing equality to the sexes will help dissolve the fundamental mentality of domination and subordination that has made it so difficult for men and women to meet each other face to face and heart to heart and spirit to spirit. The foundation for intimacy and love. True intimacy does not appear when we face another as more or less than ourselves. We need to see each other as different but equal. In a study I made of successful couples for my book, Woman, Sex, and Addiction, I repeatedly found that both individuals in the partnership had a broad range of emotions, including the ability to give and receive, be passive and assertive, passionate and tender, listen and talk. They were not bound by sex role stereotypes when it came to emotions and behavior. They both enhanced each other. Not that they didn't have qualities that were complementary or experienced tension or problems. Of course they did. But the depth of their bond, they shared union of being a couple, was so rich it provided the motivation to work through difficulties with the utmost respect for each other. Intimacy requires tuning into our beloved and to ourselves on a moment-to-moment basis. This creates a spacious, fluid quality of free assumptions. In weaving a connection with our beloved, we stay open to the fluctuations within ourselves and our partner. We realize that some people like to withdraw to solve problems. Other people like to talk them through. Some people like to do various activities together in silence because words interrupt the stillness and connection. Other people prefer to tell stories or talk when they are together. And nothing is fixed. We may want to be quiet on Tuesday when we walk in a park and feel like talking on Friday. Anytime we make assumptions about all men and all women, or a given person, for that matter, we will be wrong much of the time. In the Quaker tradition, we listen for that still, small voice within us to guide us. We live in a stream of conscious awareness of the moment. This way of seeing the relationship dynamics is significantly different from John Gray's Mars and Venus perspective. His book is based on stories the culture has created about all men and all women, stories that reinforce the false core. For example, in talking about the problems strong, independent women have with attracting men and how women need men, he writes, "In the old days, a woman was in many ways helpless to provide for herself. She clearly needed a man. This helplessness actually made her very attractive to men and gave a man confidence to pursue her and the sense of purpose and responsibility to provide for her and to be supportive." The image of a man protecting a helpless woman sounds like a parent-child relationship, not one of two equal mates. It is clearly a cultural stereotype that deprives both people of their human potential and wholeness. Inequality of this sort is a prescription for a deadly relationship. In fact, it's not a relationship at all. It's two masks living together. And again, while some men may be attracted to helpless women, it's not healthy to reinforce this idea. As we evolve spiritually, we become increasingly comfortable meeting each other in the richness of our humanness, our talents, our strengths, our joys, our sorrows, our fears, our neediness, and our longings. Gray, along with other writers, provides numerous lists of specific things to say and not to say to a lover that you are daunting, or that are daunting, even if one could memorize all of them. They imply that somehow if we could only say or do the right thing, we can make a relationship work. While that might be nice, we all know relationships are more complicated than that. Besides, we are far more transparent than we like to believe. People can sense when we are a phony or trying to do it right. Keith Walker's comment on following rules for dating is that forcing oneself to believe or accept a rule or thought or model without understanding it and feeling united with it is to do violence against the self. It is saying, someone else knows more than I do about what's best for me. This immediately takes us off the spiritual path. We need to take our cues from inside. Do we feel clear and relaxed or agitated? Instead of obediently mouthing someone else's words. To be natural and authentic can feel awkward or frightening, but it is through this exploration that we get to know ourselves. This doesn't mean we don't listen to wise counsel or learn communication skills, but they must never be pitted against our own counsel and spirit. It is better to make an honest mistake and learn from it than to follow rote rules that are external to the experience or don't feel authentic. The poet Kabir wrote, "As the river gives itself into the ocean, what is inside me moves inside you." That is an image of a healthy relationship. The flow of spirit is within us, between us, around us, binding us together as part of all that is. In any meeting with another person, if you want to enter the flow of that river, you must surrender to the truth, detach from the outcome. Feel the water wash over you and breathe in the beauty of living at one with your internal wisdom. Instead of obscuring our vision with stereotypes, what if we met each other with a fresh vision and an open mind, asking, who are you? What do you like? Am I understanding you well? What helps you feel loved? And how shall we bring up conflict? By asking these questions, we honor the unique individual we are with. And also I would add in, when asking these questions, that we actually listen. And we don't have preconceived notions already made up in our mind of what we think that they maybe should answer or think what they will answer, and that we just genuinely listen and accept what their answer is. And if you've been watching these in previous chapters, it talks about then you get to make the decision of what to do with their answer, not before, not of what you think that they should answer, but you make the decision from their answers, and they make the decisions from your answers. Is this something I can work with? You know, we all have things that we can compromise with, and things that in the long term we would find hard to compromise with, and that's okay. Because everybody is their own individual, and sometimes, you know, that, like I said, that is what dating is for you to get to know this person. So by asking these questions, we honor the unique individual we are with. We get to know them based on who they are today, rather than on assumptions, stereotypes, projections, or hope. It's simply two of us looking at each other in the eyes, listening, responding, and weaving the special tapestry of our relationship. If you do this, you will find out what a bright, shining star that you truly are. So within this listening, within these questions of the other person, we find out who we are. And again, as I said before, that is the purpose of these relationships, is to become more aware of who we are through these relationships, through the beauty of these relationships, through the acceptance of ourselves within that other person. And that is the how shall we bring up a conflict is a beautiful thing to do, you know, at the beginning of a relationship. And if you're already in a relationship and you haven't really discussed that, discuss it. Figure it out. Because most of us who've, you know, had past relationships that maybe didn't go too well, I can bet you hadn't done that, and, you know, maybe held a lot of it in, or, you know, you just became angry and without knowing, because you weren't aware at the time, you know, projected it onto the other person. And of course, we're human. We're here to have this experience. No relationship is going to be void of conflict. And if it is, then it is probably not going to make you grow. And that's okay if that's the choice that you want to make. But if you want growth, there will be conflict. And why not figure out what are we going to do before the conflict happens, so that there is this, path that you're going to take. And it can be resolved amicably, like together, with love and compassion for the other person and for your relationship. So the questions are, who are you? What do you like? Like, do you feel I'm understanding you well? And what helps you feel loved? And how shall we bring up conflict? And to remember that we are all the same. We are the same essence, seeking the same thing. And as always, no matter what, just for being you, the universe loves and adores you. And just, it's always rooting for you. It's your team, and they want the best for you, just as you want the best for you. All right, love you.